Why do we celebrate J. David Rogers Day? The late Dr. J. David Rogers, who we celebrate today on his birthday, was an internationally renowned engineer who risked his career, put it on the line to tell the truth about the true cause of the levee failures and the flooding during Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans on 2005. Dr. J. David Rogers risked his career and put his career on the line to tell the truth. That is something few people will ever do. Dr. Rogers co-authored one of the very first, or the first, post-Katrina levee investigation with two other co-authors. These are the conditions under which that very first study were done. It had a shoestring budget, a paltry shoestring budget. It had an insane deadline, just months after the Katrina flooding. It was a chaotic environment. Dr. Rogers and his co-authors were out on the levees trying to do their investigation while the Army Corps is filling in the breaches. It was chaotic. And fourth, because they didn't have the benefit of other studies, they couldn't incorporate any other studies in their own work. They had the very first study, published in May of 2006, and it wrongly faulted local levee officials for the flooding. After that study was released, the independent levee investigation team, 6 more levee investigations were completed and released. None of them mentioned local levee officials in any way. They had no role in the flooding. The 6 studies, including the Army Corps of Engineers' own study, all concluded that blame belonged with the Army Corps of Engineers, not local levee officials, not the geography of the city, and certainly not Hurricane Katrina. The evidence, the 6 studies all concluded that the culprit was the Army Corps of Engineers because their levees were wrongly designed and built. The evidence of these mistakes was deep underground, 16 feet deep under these levees behind me. No local levee maintenance crew could have possibly identified levee mistakes 16 feet underground. And by the way, local levee officials are required to do their levee inspections per the Corps' instructions. They have a manual they must follow. So, despite the 6 studies, which none of them faulted local levee officials, national media still clung to that wrong information that was put out in that very first study in May of 2006. In 2013, 7 years after the flooding, Dr. Rogers recognized that his report essentially threw the people of New Orleans under the bus, because in the minds of national media and other people outside here, the attitude is, well, you know, your local levee officials, they were responsible. So therefore, you, me, all of us who live here, we're responsible too. So Dr. Rogers understood that, and he led the charge to write a whole new paper that would correct the historical record. He kept his promise. His paper was published in the peer-reviewed Water Policy Journal, which is the official journal of the World Water Council based in Marseille, France. It's windy, but I like this breeze, actually. It feels great. Okay. So this report retracted the wrong information and replaced it with the right information. This happened in 2015, the 10th anniversary of the catastrophic flooding. It's 14 pages long, and a layperson can read it. It's not written just for engineers. And it's publicly available. Anyone can look at it anytime. This report was front page news in the New York Times in May 2015, Sunday, above the fold. Okay? Big, big deal. An excellent article was also written by Mark Schleifstein at the Time-Picayune. Mark Schleifstein, of course, as one of the best reporters ever, called Dr. Rogers and interviewed him, and Dr. Rogers told him that when he did his study in 2006, he was given information that he believed to be correct. But it turns out that it was wrong. Also, in the meantime, transcripts of public meetings that weren't available when he did his report became available. And bottom line, Dr. Rogers' article, the New York Times story, and Mark Schleifstein's story all changed the way that major media talks about the flooding of New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina. It is not our fault, the people who live here. But it all started with Dr. Rogers. He was a courageous man. I'm going to share the very first sentence from a memorial that was sent to me from Missouri S&T, where Dr. Rogers was a beloved professor. Dr. J. David Rogers, Carl F. Hasselman Professor Emeritus of Geological Engineering at Missouri University of Science and Technology, was an internationally recognized engineering geologist, geotechnical engineer, educator, scholar, and mentor whose work had a lasting impact on professional practice, public safety, and generations of students and engineers around the world. And now, together, let's toast the memory of Dr. Rogers. Levee.org will continue this observance annually as a way to preserve Dr. Rogers' legacy and also to promote engineering failure education. You would think engineering failure education would be required in every university and engineering college in the nation. It is not. So we will also use his memory to help pursue that goal of engineering failure education, because Dr. Rogers was a big proponent of that initiative. So this concludes my remarks, and I'm happy to take any questions. Okay. No, I must have been very clear if there are no questions. This report is available online. Anybody can look it up at any time. It's open access. Anyone can quote it at any time. No, it's not a secret. And we thank Dr. Rogers with the bottom of our hearts. It takes a lot of courage to say I was wrong, and then to take the steps to correct the record.